Welcome back, Raider Nation, to another edition of Night of the Shield. Today, we're going to be talking about the Las Vegas Raiders moving on and parting ways with Trey Ragas. But before we get started, I want to take this time to thank everybody who watched that video, who liked that video. Please continue to like and share these videos as I'm trying to move myself back up into this algorithm and really get these videos back out there. Now, I know that I always take a hiatus. I always disappear. I get that, but I'm in it this year, man. I'm in it. I'm trying to get this thing going, so bear with me. I appreciate all the support over the years, and let's get this thing rolling. All right, to get this thing started, I know there's a lot of people that are upset right now. I'm having deja vu myself. Like this is a deja vu moment for me. It reminds me of one particular player that we just parted ways here before we set our 53-man roster, and that is one Keelan Doss. Did everybody remember the whole Keelan Doss situation where Keelan Doss had a great preseason? The media hyped him up, we hyped him up, and the next thing you know, they cut him. They cut him, and the idea was for them too. They wanted him back on the practice squad, but Doss was like, "Hey man, I'm moving on. I'm going to go to Jacksonville's practice squad." Then the whole Antonio Brown thing happened, and they needed to do some PR stuff too. They needed to do some mending because the nation was upset. They knew that we loved Doss, so they gave Doss a contract because once you're on a practice squad, you can't sign a player or bring a player off a practice squad and put him on your practice squad. You got to put him to your roster. So Doss earns a contract, comes over, and becomes part of this roster. Now, let's be real. Like, first and foremost, Keelan Doss, I wish you the best of luck, dude. I really hope that you get an opportunity somewhere, and I hope you ball out because you did show a lot of promise. You're a hometown boy. I really like Keelan Doss. He just wasn't a Gruden guy, and I'm really going to get into that a little bit, what I mean by that. But Doss didn't work out. I mean, he's been here 3 years. There's been nothing. Now, I know we brought in guys like Edwards and Ruggs, and that made it a lot harder for him. We brought in a guy like Nelson Aguilar that made it even harder for him, and now we got Willie Snead and, Renfro's there, and they really, truly love Zay Jones, and you're starting to see Zay Jones emerge. Now, he's a Gruden guy, and now he's a guy that I could talk about that fits everything that Gruden is looking for. Gruden it puts people in positions to benefit his scheme. This is John Gruden's offense. Greg Olson helps him implement it, but this is John Gruden's offense. John Gruden calls the plays. He knows exactly what he wants. He knows exactly what he's expecting from each one of his players. You've heard Carrier talk about he has a role. He came in here for a specific reason, and anything else is extra. So this is exactly how Gruden views his football team. So why did they cut Ragas? Because he wasn't ready. And the biggest problem that I have with the whole situation personally, myself, is why would you sign him to the roster? Not just activate him, sign him to the roster just to cut him. Now, again, sometimes you do things, you make certain moves for certain reasons. Maybe they got word that someone else was trying to pick him up off the practice squad. That's a possibility. I personally think, and this is just my personal opinion, there's no facts behind this whatsoever, but I really honestly think that this game against Miami was the final audition for Peyton Barber to show that he can be a Gruden guy. And he checked all the boxes. I'm still not fully sold that he's going to play consistently for the Raiders, but Peyton Barber's also not here to be that consistent back. Josh Jacobs will be back, and that's the role that he's playing right now. Josh Jacobs will take that role back. So, I think I need to calm my expectations down when it comes to me evaluating Peyton Barber versus what Gruden said in his presser about Peyton Barber. So, again, like we could go round and round and round about this, but at the end of the day, Ragas wasn't ready. Just wasn't ready. Can Ragas run the football? Yes. Does he have good vision? Yes. Does he run hard and make plays? Yes. But is he where Gruden needs him to be that bell cow? Backup bell cow at that? Can he pass protect? Is he blocking down the field? Is he doing all the other things that Gruden expects? There's a lot of reports that came out that Gruden was upset with both Ragas and Edmonds many, many times during training camp because they were just rookies. They're green. There's a lot they got to learn and absorb. If it's a last resort, yeah. And let's face it, we all been talking about it. The Raiders are playing at a level right now that everybody's hopeful. It's still early. It's only been 3 weeks, but we're sitting in 3-0. All AFC conference games. So that plays big for us. We are in the driver's seat. As long as we keep doing what we're doing, we are playoff bound. As Gruden say, we got a chance to be in the tournament. And that's what he's playing for right now. He's playing for a chance to be in the tournament, which leads me into the other thing that's being talked about this whole thing, about Jalen Richard's possible return. We haven't heard that he's coming back. I personally haven't heard anything or seen anything that's official. Of course, I've been at work all day, but Jalen Richard is a Gruden guy. He's a guy that checks all the boxes. And when you look at how Derek Carr is playing out of his mind right now, and we know that Carr plays better when he feels comfortable and he trusts everything around him. There's a trust factor when it comes to having Jalen Richard on the field. Not only do they have chemistry in the passing game, Carr knows that he understands what Carr is getting ready to do and will help his blind side. He is a great pass blocker. And I've seen Peyton Barber do an okay job. I've seen Kenyon Drake do a good job. So why are we paying a guy $3.5 million to be a pass blocker? Again, a Gruden guy. We're in the hunt right now. And Richard is now become a real valuable asset, primarily because the offensive line is still figuring itself out. That makes Richard more valuable at that point, number one. Number two, he's more than just a third down option, right? A third down back, a third string back. He can do things on special teams. He can return kicks. He can do punts. And he just understands what Gruden wants. He's proven it. That's why they gave him $3.5 million. And we could argue that all day. I'm not here. I'm not the Raiders accountant. I think it hurts the team. And you're never really, it's hard. It's really, I don't want to say never, but it's really hard to get a running back to renegotiate their contract because they don't have long shelf lives. If they get a contract, they want to keep that money because they're not guaranteed to be here next year. A running back shelf life is very, very small. It's not like, quarterbacks or offensive linemen or linebackers that could play. They play longer. Their body holds up. Most cornerbacks, if they're good enough, can transfer to safety later on where they don't need as much speed and agility to play back there in the box. So, again, Trey Ragas, I hope. The problem again, if he cannot make it back to our practice squad and we lose Ragas, period, that's where I'm going to be upset. As far as him not being on this roster right now, I'm okay with that. I get what Gruden, I understand the process. I understand that this team has more than just a chance to make the tournament. They're playing and showing, especially defensively. They're way more advanced defensively than I expected them to be at this moment, and they're just going to get better. We're going to get other pieces back. There's going to be that defensive line, man. As long as they stay healthy, they're balling out. If the offensive line can really pick itself back up and really cement itself into some kind of stability and consistency, this offense is going to explode. We haven't had Josh Jacobs on the field yet. I mean, he played a little bit in the first game, but he was an unhealthy scratch that game too. He hurt himself early on. So we're going to have a healthy Josh Jacobs eventually. We're going to have Richie Incognito back eventually. Jalen Richard is going to help on those third and long situations, and he is a playmaker. He fumbles the ball a lot, but I'm not going to sit here and argue at this point in time his $3.5 million and his worth on this football team. If Jalen Richard comes back and can be that guy, he is worth at least being on this football team at this point. I like the fact that we have a Jalen Richard. I just don't want to lose Ragas's ability to be a part of this team in a year or two. He can be that extra option for Josh Jacobs. I think we've seen his ability to run hard, especially at the goal line. He has great vision, and you can't teach that. You can't teach the vision that Ragas showed in the preseason. We could talk about he went up against a third and fourth string team defenses, which is a fact, but he also played some of those first string snaps against first string defenses. Even though it was their base defense, he still did really well, made some good reads, ran hard, fell forward. Again, I think it would be a mistake if Ragas does not make the practice squad. They're going to have to eat this one. They're going to have to eat this one in the long term. But from a short-term perspective, hey, look, I watched the presser today, and you could comment in the comment section down below. I didn't hear anything about Merrick. I didn't hear anything about Mullen. I know Perriman went down for a little bit. He jogged off, so I think Perriman's fine. But, we might be trying to gear up and make roster spots for someone, another cornerback. We got banged up in the secondary a little bit. So I haven't heard to see what their status is going to be. So we might have to make some moves. And again, when you go down the line, Ragas was the odd man out. Now I'm sure right now they're having that conversation at Raider headquarters right now. They're talking about why did we sign him to the roster? There had to be a purpose. There had to be a reason at that moment. But this game is constantly evolving. People get hurt, things happen, and you got to be able to make tough decisions real quick, because if there's a player out there, you have to be able to get them. You have to have roster space. You have to have salary cap. So again, man, I'm hoping more information comes out about this. But more importantly, I hope Ragas at least makes it back to the practice squad, because even on the practice squad, he's not safe. He's not safe. Anybody that wants Ragas could sign him to their roster. And there's a reason why it normally don't happen, is because, they know it's going to take a team that's pretty desperate for a running back just to run the football, and they're not going to care about pass protection or what have you, and willing to give Ragas a shot and keep him on the roster for the next year. And they develop him too. So there's always that chance. But I just hope Ragas ain't mad at this point. I hope his feelings are not hurt. I hope he wants to be a Raider. I hope he ends up back on the practice squad. But remember, there's always more to the story. There's always more than what we know. And when it comes to Jalen Richard, look, $3.5 million is a ton of money to give a guy like Jalen Richard to be our third down back, to be a third option, to be a part-time player. But at the end of the day, he does bring a lot of experience in Gruden's offense. He is a great pass protector on third down. He picks up blitzes, and even though these other guys are showing well and they're doing good, Richard's a master at it. And Carr likes him. Gruden likes him. He can help in the punt return game, the kicking game. Jalen Richard does bring an element that can help us move forward, and he does make this team better. Not financially, but I think he does bring enough to the table that gives us another added weapon. And it might actually take the pressure off of Drake, right? And to be that back. He came in to be a specific, Gruden has a specific role for Drake. And obviously it wasn't to be quote unquote Jacobs full on backup. Otherwise Peyton Barber wouldn't be getting as many touches as he's got. He wants Drake for something else. So this is going to free it all up. It gives us some options until Jacobs gets healthy and all this really starts to the smoke clears and we kind of see where we're at and we continue to win. I think Richard plays a big dividend down the road, especially when it comes to pass protection and even catching passes out of the backfield. I just hope he puts some stickum on his hands and he doesn't fumble the ball this year. But, he's a playmaker. We've said it. I've heard a lot of people say it. It's not personal against Jalen Richard. It's really financial. And let's just forget about the financials at this point. We're 3-0. Let's talk about the strengths and what it kind of bolsters for Richard to be in that backfield. I know we like Ragas, but at this point, we like Ragas's potential. Ragas obviously ain't ready. These guys get paid a lot of money. Gruden been doing this a long time. He wasn't wrong about Doss. We have to trust that he's not wrong about Ragas. He's protecting Ragas. I just hope that because they signed him to the roster that we don't lose Ragas. That's where the issue's at for me. Not so much that he's not going to be the bell cow or the backup bell cow, if you will. Because like I said, I don't necessarily trust that we're going to get consistency out of Barber. I can't wait for Jacobs to get back. I want to see Jacobs. I want to see Drake. I want to see Mariota at some point, and everything that they had planned to make this offense that much more dynamic. And maybe, Gruden's looking at his plan and saying, with Richard, it really bolsters me to be able to do these other things that I already had planned. Because at $3.5 million, Gruden already had a plan for Richard. So, again, we got to let it all play out. I just wanted to give my 2 cents, throw my opinion in the mix, and just remember the Keelan Doss thing. Just because we like Ragas and his potential doesn't mean that he was ready for this football team right now anyway. But, all right, guys, don't forget to hit that like button, please. Kind of get this algorithm going for me. If you're new here, you like my views, and you like how I take the approach in talking about our Las Vegas Raiders, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell so you can be updated every time I drop another video. And until next time, stay Raider strong.